Seidel's law, described in the 1960s by Moses Seidel. He determined that when things are said in reverse order, they're supposed to directly reference text. Nephi says line upon line, precept on precept. The original is precept on precept, line upon line. Seidel's law suggests that he's not just saying it backwards so that you remember it or so that it sticks out, although perhaps those are tools as well. Seidel's law is saying that means he's directly quoting. And that's a big deal here. Christ is going to be quoting himself. Basically, he's quoting law. I need to give some background for why I view things this way. Sidney Crawford went through all the Dead Sea Scrolls, come up with this criteria for which texts are looked at as canon, which are authoritative, which are just stories, which are more like teaching manuals, trying to sort all these out. And she came up with a criteria mostly based on how things are quoted. Scholars still today argue about what was canon back then. Well, when Jesus talked about the law and the prophets, that might be their verbiage for the canon, right? So if Christ lived today, he might say something like, this is the whole point of the Bible, instead of this is the whole point of the law and the prophets. So, okay, takeaways from her. She says that the Book of Jubilees is probably the big one that we're missing, that Jews at Qumran cited authoritatively, and the early Christian fathers. Okay, so when Christ is solving disputation, it's like quoting something at the, let's say in the Supreme Court. You don't quote Dr. Seuss, right? So what Christ did is he lays out about salt losing its savor, be a light unto men, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. It has all been fulfilled. Now that's classic, but 3 chapters later, he says the same things but in reverse order and applying it to something else, applying it to the Gentiles, actually. So he's not even talking about the same topic, but he says the same words in reverse order. The law is fulfilled. I do not destroy the prophets. You are a light unto this remnant. Those who will not turn to Christ will be as salt who has lost their savor. He's applying that to the Gentiles that don't repent. But by referencing that, it makes his Sermon on the Mount authoritative. Well, that's news for Latter-day Saints. We often think, how do we know if a gospel concept is true? If there's 3 witnesses, or if it's in every text. But this would be another way, kind of based on the method that, like I said, Sidney Crawford would use. Christ is using this authoritatively. And so you can assume that, at least according to Seidel's law, that this is a quote. So he is actually quoting himself, even though none of the words are in the same order. They're all in the opposite order. For me, fascinating because I talk about conservative versus revisionistic citations. Well, that's just basically exact word for word or paraphrasing. That's all that is. And how to know when the author's doing that. This is a 3rd version of quoting. And so that's very, very cool to me. And it also points us, in my opinion, to what texts are authoritative, which would be the Sermon on the Mount. So actually that is the law. I've read that in many places, but here it really suggests that. It's also evidence of the Book of Mormon, of course. Another grand slam. As always, the Book of Mormon is evidence that Christ lives.